Hello, myself Zunul Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing about the topic that is cities creation. In this basically we are discussing about the tractor basically which moves basically to the sea to the each and every area basically. They are basically actually doing what basically. Then one of the person told that basically they might be doing some chain circulation basically. They might be doing some giving some future generation data basically. Then he told that might be possible basically. For example basically, for example one marriage happened. That marriage basically there people lots of people basically eaten the food, drink the water basically was came from the tractor, like this basically lots of process basically happened. Then he told that yes basically. Assume basically that marriage basically got divorce also. So due to divorce basically the few people basically told that basically it is going to assume that basically the girls party basically was very powerful basically. Assume basically just taking as an example basically real basically it's not connected with any of the group basically, but it's connected with the tractor water basically. That's why. So he told that basically yes here basically. So girls party was basically very powerful basically. Then he told that yes basically the girls basically party was basically very powerful. So they basically fired that the boy group basically. Fired means here basically divorce happened. The automatically the system basically fires. That is the high courts. If the case basically reaches to the Supreme Court, then the Supreme Court basically fires basically. So basically just see the system also basically. How basically system basically are created basically. How the system basically are created. Basically. That's why basically few people say that basically we have already done the 11 parts here basically, because it might possible that the girl basically might be from USA, boy basically might be from India basically. So that type of possibilities are also basically there. That is basically called as a NRI marriage basically. That is basically called as the NRI marriage. So entire group basically is going to affect. In this basically what happened? Few group basically they were basically invited, but they basically not went basically. Why? Because they basically think negative basically. So if basically the divorce will happen, then basically what are the things basically going to happen basically. And few basically went, and then basically they told that basically few people basically broken the relationship with that particular person also. Reason they want to give the proof that basically we have broken the relationship. Basically don't do anything basically to us basically. Like this basically the system basically is created basically. So like this basically things are also basically there, and that connects to the earthquakes and incidents basically. Earthquakes means that boy blood cells and the girl blood cells. That connects to the incidents, and then basically the earthquakes and incidents basically both connects here basically. So that is also one of the part. So here basically again back to the Chennai group basically. This is actually not personal basically. I'm not talking about the personal of the Lux web solution basically. Here basically I'm just taking one example of the Chennai group basically. How basically when Chennai group basically got the tsunami, and how basically it was connected with the this all nuclear power plant basically. So one person told that basically assume basically that Chennai basically got tsunami from 180 nuclear power companies. Just taking as an example, no, basically. So this 180 nuclear power company basically is going to be carry forward, or basically it will be totally different basically. So possibilities basically are there basically that 180 also basically will be moving, and the carry forward also basically happens basically. Means for example it moved to USA. So from USA basically they will collect few companies, few nuclear power companies, and they also basically merge, and then basically it will move to the another UK company basically, and then basically like this basically the it moves to the lava blast area basically. That is basically the Indonesia. Few people says basically whether it's correct or not, that I don't know basically. In India, in Vadodara city basically there is one lava blast has happened basically 5 lakh year before basically. That was in Pavagad mountain basically. After that basically never lava blast has happened basically. And that basically lava blast basically created the entire Vadodara city. So that's basically also one of the. story basically lots of says that basically something basically happened in USA, something happened in UK, like this basically they told that basically few people basically moved from UK to Vadodara, and like this basically they when they moved basically that time basically the lava blast happened basically, and then the entire land basically got created, like this lots of things basically stories basically are there basically. So first people basically came to Vadodara city, Vadodara land, then basically the lava blast happened that mount that Vadodara Pavagadh area basically, and then basically the land got entire Vadodara city basically land got created basically. So people basically came first, then basically that happened basically. People says basically whether it is correct or not, that basically don't know. Few people says that basically lava blast happened first basically, and then basically the people basically came basically. So that is basically different thing basically. So tsunami data basically connects to the lava area, and then basically the blast happened. So like these things are also basically there. So like this Chennai basically 180 nuclear power plant basically, they basically, so like this basically the nuclear power plant basically are connected basically. So like this basically the nuclear power plant basically are connected. So you can just imagine basically the things basically are connected. So one of the person told that is this matlab 100% is correct, or basically that tsunami like this basically the chain basically are connected. That is only yes basically. Like this way only basically the tsunami happens basically. So from one nuclear power plant basically tsunami basically it's not possible to have this like this powerful tsunami basically. The wind speed basically was what was the wind speed basically in Chennai basically. See basically that Chennai wind speed basically. Chennai basically T tsunami wind speed was what basically? In 2023. So few people say that basically that was 100 basically. Few website basically says that basically that was 100. So like this basically things basically was there basically. So like this basically the nuclear power company basically are connected basically. Each and every nuclear power plant basically are connected. So this basically is the time machine of the nature basically you can say. Like this basically they keeps the time machine basically of the nature basically. Like this basically they keeps the time machine of the nature basically. Time machine of the nature. So like this basically they keeps the time machine of the nature basically. Like this basically they keeps the time machine of the nature basically. You can just imagine basically. So like this time machine of nature you can say. So assume that basically one of the person told that basically Chennai का data कहाँ तक पहुँचा. One person asked the question in Hindi basically, and in one person asked the question in English basically. Where this data is basically of that this Chennai basically just now got the tsunami basically from this 180 nuclear plant. Where is that data basically? Currently, previously after just 1 week before basically it was in I think USA na basically. Then it might have moved to UK basically. Then basically where is basically currently where is basically one of the person asked the question basically. Then he told that basically that need to check basically. That only basically the weather department of the World Health Organization, they basically might be having that basically. The reason they basically sets the data basically according to that basically the season basically gets connected basically. So one of the person told that yes basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this basically.